Da 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 da!
So after the dramatic escape to Force Awakens and Rey and whatnot, we get a nice little pleasant surprise.
Harrison Ford returns looking as crappy as ever. He looked better in the fourth Indiana Jones movie.
That was unexpected.
No, the reason is that he was younger. He was younger in that film.
Oh well, yeah.
He's really hit like a tail end of his career. He's getting old.
On the bright side,
he's almost 80.
On the bright side, his performance as Han Solo felt good. It felt like this is Han Solo, a little older and like more gruff, but
Yeah, no, seriously though, but he could still pull off the one-handed shooting. In fact, I know a guy who actually has a toy of the laser gun that he has.
Bernie.
Nope. Peter Mahikis, the guy that has the Kylo Ren lightsaber.
Seth Crawford also has one.
I want a Han Solo pistol. Those are actually pretty cool looking.
They are. Okay, so back on topic.
Yeah.
So to capture the Falcon, the bit that Jeremy mentioned where we try to poison Han and then they're just like, really?
The masks only filter out smoke, not toxic gas. You kill yourself before you kill us.
Good job, Rey and Finn. I suppose that's what we get from rookies. So we find out that Han has been a smuggler for the past however many years.
Since Kylo Ren did what he did.
Which is never really, there's not been an exact date established for that, so it could be like 5 years, it could be 1 year, it could be like 20 years.
With how old Harrison Ford looks, I recommend it's 20.
Probably, yeah. So we find out that Han Solo has been smuggling. Why? At this point in the film, it's kind of like, wait, why is he a smuggler?
Again.
And we also find out that hilarious thing where the Falcon, with the sea tails, the Falcon changes ownership multiple times, and Han's just been like trying to track it down.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And those two smuggler gangs show up, and we find out that Han has been smuggling those. What the heck were those?
Alien
Tentacle
creatures? Giant type of space monsters that were responsible for a massive massacre.
Only Han Solo would be crazy to smuggle them. He mentioned something.
With a Wookiee!
Yeah. He mentioned something about he used to have a bigger crew. I wonder where his crew went.
Into the belly of those beasts, no doubt.
It's either that or they were just like, Han, you're an idiot. We're not signing up for this mission. We're done.
The way that he made it sound in the film was that I used to have a bigger crew.
Not like.
Like they got eaten. Okay, moving on.
That's a lovely nut. Yeah. This was actually the one bit of the film that I felt like was not directly ripping off anything from A New Hope, and I actually really enjoyed it because one, it was a relatively cool action sequence. We have Han and Chewie trying to fight the gangs, and then the tentacle tornado monster
really,
things
if you
are
think
like.
about it, there's really no equivalent of those gangs in The New Hope.
There's nothing like those creatures other than maybe a combination of the Rancor and the Sarlacc.
And there's nothing like that specific action sequence in the movie. Like there's nothing.
Which is nice. It's nice they finally have something original.
Something actually like out of the blue.
That was the only thing about the film I found original, to be honest. And that's kind of why I liked the sequence.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah. Not much to say about it other than that, I guess. So after that, we get the Millennium Falcon out. Han does this crazy stunt where he jumps to hyperspace from inside the the launch bay of his ship.
Okay, seriously? There's one flaw that I keep coming back to with light speed.
Yeah.
In order to move at the speed of light, you need to be pure energy. How the heck does that even work?
It's a movie.
Dirty sits down with the #1 cameo line.
Yeah.
It's a movie.
So we get to Maz's castle, I assume. It's some sort of, I don't know what
Yeah,
it is.
actually, I thought, when I first saw that place, it reminded me of Count Dooku's home on Raxus from the Clone Wars. And I thought, is that Count Dooku's old home?
So we get to Count Dooku's home on Araxis.
No, I thought it was, but it's not. It's not. I thought it was, but it turns out that it's on a different world. It's near Jakku. It's not near the outer rim of where Raxus is.
Yeah, it's like...
And Raxus was completely different colors.
Yeah.
The water, for some reason, on Raxus was a lot more purple.
Yeah, this place is kind of more This is our Mos Eisley Cantina ripoff, except for one tiny little problem.
It's not in Mos Eisley or on a desert planet.
No, that wasn't it. Did anyone else besides me notice that there are no species from the other movies? Like, there's no Twi'leks. There's like that band. Da 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 da. That band. There's no creatures like them.
Hang on,
I guess they just wanted to be original with those designs.
Yeah, but
maybe they just went with completely different species of that area.
And not all of them were like organic.
Because you have to figure Ryloth is also close to Tatooine.
Some of them
good point.
were
But I mean, like,
robots.
it's just kind of that. Okay, so you said there are like different species for that area.
I'm guessing that like there's several places like the Mos Eisley Cantina scattered across the Outer Rim, because you know the Outer Rim's down for smugglers and thieves and whatnot. And
You will
so
never find a more wretched bunch of hives of scum and villainy.
you'll never find a more wretched collection of hives of scum and villainy.
Better.
Don't look at it.
Yeah.
All of it. Any of it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that my guess is that because there was no kind of species like what you see in the Mos Eisley Cantina, either Disney was being creative and just came up with a bunch of different aliens, or there's different aliens in that area. Like, think about it. Raxus is over here, Ryloth and Tatooine are over here. Kind of seems a long way to go from Ryloth over to like this planet near Jakku.
Yeah, but not all Twi'leks or not all Bith or not all Cad Bane species or Duros would stay in that area. Like, you are going to have at least a few that are going to scatter around, traveling in the galaxy. I mean, yeah, new species makes sense, but at least give us like one or two of the original species.
Well, technically they did when they showed the Resistance base, because they had Admiral Akbar.
Okay, I mean like in the extras.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, but you know,
Okay.
do you know why you know where Akbar's actually from?
Mon Calamari.
Mon Calamari. Do you even know where
I
that
love
is?
calamari.
It's an aqua planet.
No,
Right,
do you know where it is?
I want to say it's like.
It's near the corporate sector in the far north of the Outer Rim.
Yeah. So I guess it would be closer to Jakku.
No, it's up here. Jakku's down here.
Okay, yeah.
So
Everyone watching this review is going to have no idea what you're talking about because they can't see your hands. But okay.
Yeah, well, we could show a map.
Yeah, probably. No. I was just going to put up a Force Awakens logo just so I can like do a quick edit thing.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah.
Next review we do is going to be more in depth. Okay.
Okay.
So we get. She's talking to. So we get to Maz. I don't know what she is. I haven't seen the movie in a while.
I'm wondering why she has Luke Skywalker's lightsaber.
The original.
Sea turtles.
Perhaps someone in Cloud City caught it and then eventually ended up in her hands, or maybe she was even in Cloud City when that happened.
Could be. I mean, it would make sense that someone would have found Anakin's lightsaber because in the original expanded universe, Imperial agents actually found Luke's lightsaber and his hand, and then that is how the clone Luke Skywalker was made, was from that severed hand. And he was using Anakin's lightsaber. In the expanded universe, there is a clone called Luke Skywalker.
Luke!
Luke. I don't know how to pronounce that, so I'm just saying Luke.
Luke!
I don't know if it would be Luke or Luke, but yeah. But yeah, he was the apprentice of the mad dark Jedi Joras Sabayoth, who worked for Grand Admiral Thrawn, who's basically one of the people who tried to restore the Empire to its former glory.
And of course, as always, people are not going to be knowing what you're talking about, because unless they're diehard Expanded Universe fans are not going to know.
Well, then the die-hard Expanded Universe fans are going to love this review. Yeah.
Just maybe if we don't.
Okay, so anyway,
Yeah.
one thing that I noticed about this Ra's character, she says that she's seen the same eyes across different points in time. Like she's very old, like almost as old, maybe older than Master Yoda.
I think I read somewhere she was 1,000 years old.
Dang, she's like 100 years older than Master Yoda.
Bruh!
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And somehow she's like able to connect with the Force or something, but she's not a Jedi.
She's
I
familiar
guess-
with him.
I guess
Yeah.
she's like Yoda, a rare kind of person of a rare species that only appears once or twice, every so often, and they are very in tune with the Force. They're very, very aligned with it, but some of them don't become Jedi.
Could be, yeah.
Because maybe she was born, like, I don't know how old she is at the time, I think like she's 1,000, but
Yeah.
who knows when she could have been born? Like 1,000 years ago, maybe the Jedi Order was struggling and it wasn't safe, so her family went into hiding.
Well, 1,000 years before this, that would have been the war with the new Sith Empire, and the whole thing where Darth Bane destroyed the Brotherhood of Darkness, so the Jedi Order wouldn't have really been doing well at the time.
The beginning of the creation of the Rule of Two?
Yes. The war leading up to that is, what, 1,000 years ago.
So the Old Republic?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
She was born back then, and then she's like, she lives through the rise and fall of the Old Republic. She lives to the fall of the Old Republic, the rise of the Galactic Republic, the fall of the Galactic Republic, the rise of the Galactic Empire, the fall of the Galactic Empire, and the First Order.
Wow.
She's seen it all.
Yep. Okay.
That's no wonder she said that line. She's seen everything.
Yeah. So for some reason, Finn decides to run.
No, Ray.
No, Finn. Finn is like about to ship out to the Outer Rim. I don't know. Because he's like scared of the First Order or something. He knows what they're capable of, I guess.
Well, think about it. He served them.
Well,
so
yeah.
that would make sense.
Yeah, that would. Okay, yeah. And then we see the while all that's going on, we see the First Order. They're gearing up the Starkiller base. They're unveiling that. General Hux gives this great speech about the New Republic and their secret pets and the Resistance and blah 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 blah.
Anyway, real
I forget
quick.
exactly what he says.
Yeah, well, real quick before we go on,
Yeah.
one thing that a lot of people have said is that Finn can't be a stormtrooper. He's not a clone of Jango. Well, one line that is a little earlier in the film, that when they are assessing why Finn didn't shoot when they executed that whole village, and when he took off his helmet when he was not authorized to in that transport ship in the movie, one thing that is one little line that Kylo Ren says is very obvious when they're assessing Finn's file.
Yeah.
And he's like, this was his first offense, and they're getting annoyed at the fact that this has happened before. And then Kylo Ren says, perhaps we should go back to a clone army. Oh, there's your answer.
They're not even using clones.
They're not even using clones. They have people who are at a young children's age, inducted into the service and trained to be soldiers their whole lives. They're not as effective as clones, but it's better than waiting for clones to be genetically grown.
Yeah. And the thing is,
And I have to say, it may not be as easy and efficient, but I would have to say it makes for better men.
it makes for better men than just grabbing recruits off the street. Because think about it. Grab a recruit off the street, just give them a little bit of basic training. What you end up with is a military force that isn't really motivated
To fight.
to fight for your cause.
That's kind of what happened with the Empire.
Yeah.
Their stormtroopers were crap.
Yeah, but the thing is, even in the old expanding universe and in Star Wars Rebels, it is very clearly established that the Empire eventually phased out all the clones for recruits, for just raw recruits. So clones haven't even been used
Since the end of the Clone Wars.
Yeah. So it's all of the stormtroopers you see in Rebels are not clone troopers. They are backwater recruits that have just been given basic training.
So not even clones.
Well, I think a few of them
So that's why
stayed
they're
around
not
as
called
training.
clones.
Maybe like one or two, but
Well,
very rarely.
I think Cody was. Cody was one of the top lieutenants in the Republic's army, so he would have been kept around, because him and Rex had been in the whole military protocol coding.
Yeah. In the old expanded universe, he was. I think Star Wars Rebels kind of established that after the Clone Wars,
The entire
eventually
clone
they-
army was decommissioned.
Yeah. But yeah, that is kind of why Finn's not a stormtrooper. I mean, not a clone. But yeah.
Yeah, and that's why,
But that's where explain why they don't call them clones, they call them stormtroopers.
Exactly.
and that explains why the stormtroopers suck.
Yes. So for anyone who was curious about that, that is the explanation.
Anyway, back to what we were
Okay.
saying.
So they fire the big giant super laser.
The Starkiller base, basically the giant planetary laser destroying shotgun at the entire Hosnian system,
And
destroying
apparently
the
it's a
entire...
very accurate shotgun because it hit.
It was able to fly several thousand light years across space.
Yes, this super laser is ridiculously OP. It literally
Shot from one side of the galaxy to the other.
basically, and then it somehow split, warped into 5 separate laser beams and blew up every planet in that system, killing the entire galactic senate.
The Chancellor.
Yes.
And destroying the entire Republic fleet station in the Hosnian system.
I will give it credit. On the one hand, it's like they never really established the New Republic, so we don't know really who is getting killed. It's like all we know is it's just the Republic Senate, whatever that means. So
Chancellor Chandula, or whatever, Chandrilla. Mon Mothma. She actually was eventually retired.
So she's not there.
Yeah, she wasn't the one that was killed, and Chandrilla was not the planet that was destroyed, as I had originally thought.
Yeah,
because they moved the capital all over the Galactic Republic to give no one planet this kind of, I'm the best because the capital's here. No, they were trying to avoid that, and it is kind of a just idea, because think about it. If one system had all the power, it would completely recreate the problems of the old Galactic Republic.
Well, it's not necessarily so much of this one star system has all the power. It's more of, because like the Senate is representatives from all of the systems in the Republic. So it would be like, it's just this one group of people that has all the power, and then like kind of basically what's been happening to our government over the last few years is sort of what would happen then.
Yeah.
It's not so much that Washington D.C. has all the power. It's the government is slowly getting more and more power, and nobody's really doing anything about it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'd have to give credit to the designers of Starkiller Base. They created a very OP weapon.
Yeah.
Well, I think I know why it's so OP. It's not just an antimatter laser cannon like what the Death Star had. For anyone who knows, it is actually not a laser that the Death Star shoots, but basically a gigantic beam of antimatter. And when antimatter and matter collide, you get the giant planetary busting explosions that would happen to Alderaan.
Yep. So,
And that's why Dr. Doofenshmirtz lost his time shares on Alderaan. And don't worry, that's not canon.
yeah, thank the Lord for that.
Oh, I have to
literally,
say,
in the beginning of that episode of Phineas and Ferb Star Wars crossover, they literally say, and none of this is canon, so please don't worry about it. Just to avoid the Star Wars fans getting angry.
So they blow up the entire Hosnian system. I will give them credit though, they don't really establish who all is getting killed, this is what I was trying to say earlier.
Yeah.
They don't really establish like, it's just the New Republic Senate, whatever that means. They do actually show their faces though, which is something they didn't do in the original trilogy. It's just, you see the planet explode. This is like, you literally see the people that are being killed and the terror on their faces as this giant laser beam comes towards them. It's like,
the looks.
we're done.
That
I had
one
to
woman
say
ran-
the guys who were in like the rubber suits had more terrifying expressions than the people who were not.
Actually,
It was
the
kinda
lady that you
dramatic.
see in front, I think that was the Chancellor at the time.
Probably.
So she saw the destruction.
No, she didn't see it. She witnessed it. She was in it.
Yeah.
And she didn't survive.
And then...
I doubt anybody could have survived the destruction of the Hosnian system.
Nope, nobody did.
Well, there goes Hosnian Prime.
Oh, they're screwed.
No.
So then, right after that happens, the First Order shows up on... I forgot the name of the planet. Weird old ladies. Cass. Oh wait, no, hold on. Backtrack just a little bit. I'm messing up. We get the little vision thing where, while that's going on, Rey finds Luke's lightsaber, touches it, and...
He's given a massive force vision.
By touching a lightsaber? That's...
Well, maybe...
Okay.
Well, actually, this is the way I think about it. Maybe she is at the Skywalker line, and that because she's touching something that Skywalkers have used before. Think about it. Luke used it. He lost his hand with it. Anakin used it. What if it has such a powerful connection due to the fact that it is a relic of her family, which is the most powerful force users ever?
But the thing is, lightsabers themselves are not force
Then again,
artifacts.
she did see this vision when she
Yeah.
touched it.
That's kind of what we're talking about, is like, how is the vision happening? Because I mean, like, a lightsaber
I'm
is just a
thinking it's
light...
just the crystal. Maybe it's the crystal, because remember, the crystals are attuned to the force, so maybe the force is channeling a vision through the crystal without the lightsaber having any real effect. It's just the crystal.
That would make more sense, because
Also,
this was one concept that I had a problem with in Star Wars Clone Wars, is they make it look like the Force is holding the lightsaber together, and I'm like, no. Non-Force sensitive beings can construct a lightsaber. That has happened.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, the Force is not what holds the lightsaber together, the crystal is just attuned to the Force.
And not only that, one other thing. So many people think that Master Yoda is no longer in existence. Well, there's actually a line, a few words that you can faintly hear that sound like a phrasing that Master Yoda would use.
Is this in the vision? Or?
It's in the vision.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch
Meaning that Yoda most likely tried to communicate with her, but because she was panicking, she couldn't hear it.
That can make sense. I mean, Yoda mastered the whole Force ability to maintain individuality after death, so he could do that.
He actually did it in Star Wars Rebels. to Kanan and Ezra when Ezra first found his crystal.
No.
No, in that episode where he first found the Ilum crystal. I don't want to say Kyra crystal because that's what we said in the episode. And that's
then
a
I
load
would
of crap.
probably kill anybody who says that. But yeah. But that Yoda wasn't dead though.
Well, maybe he found a way to communicate through the Force while he was still alive.
Oh well. Okay, yeah, that would make more sense.
Actually, I have something pretty interesting that I saw, or on a video that there was before this new canon before the new canon came along. There was a comic released where Dark Sidious was actually revived in the body of a clone.
Oh yeah.
And basically, he actually tricks Luke Skywalker into joining the dark side.
Oh yeah, I was talking to Caleb about that just a little while ago.
Oh yeah.
That comic?
And Luke only does it because he wants to destroy Sidious again.
Yeah, basically.
And yet the first time Sidious died, it wasn't actually Luke. It was Vader.
Yeah, it was.
Vader bomb. Whee!
Yep. So back on topic, we have the vision. Okay, we actually have a good explanation of how it's happening. We see
The Force attuning itself through the crystal of the lightsaber because of her contact with it.
We totally sound like nerds.
Yes, we do. Okay, so we see Rey getting left on Jakku. We see Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren standing in what is basically just a giant circle of bodies, presumably the destruction of the Jedi Order.
Which is completely pathetic because Ren never finished his training. How crappy were those Jedi?
What I'm thinking happened there is his training as a Jedi would have been complete. Like, his training as a Jedi would be complete, it's just that learning how to use, he's still learning how to use the dark side. It is essentially a new point of view, a new way of using the Force, and he hasn't mastered that.
So that's why.
But still, he should be able to be a girl and a rogue stormtrooper.
Yeah.
And who have no formal training whatsoever.
Yeah.
But it's the lightsaber.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so oh man, we completely glossed over the bit where Kylo Ren prays to Vader's helmet.
Oh yeah, that part was just weird. Okay,
No,
I'm thinking
we
that he
kind
worshipped
of
his
did
grandfather too
talk
much.
about it at the beginning, but yeah, we only
we glossed
touched
over
it a little.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
like one aspect that I think of that is like, I think it was because of one reason that Kylo Ren fell to the dark side is because of his fascination with his grandfather, because he kind of idolized his grandfather a little bit too much,
Yeah.
and it consumed him, and then Supreme Leader Snoke was just like a little spark that set off the powder cake that was his mind, and it tricked him into the dark side.
Powdered
I do think
Powder
that
cake.
is exactly what happened.
I thought you said powdered cake.
Oh, that would have been hilarious.
It set off the powder cake in his head.
That makes sense. Okay.
Powder,
I do agree. I do think that is exactly what happened. The question is, this is actually one flaw I have with the movie, is it doesn't do a lot of explaining, and this is one area that it epically fails at explaining.
well,
Because
usually
why, like, it is a flaw in the movie in the
I'll be
sense
right
of, okay, and it's not explained, but it can be like explained in episode 8, and it's fine, it just has to be explained. Why does Kylo Ren idolize Vader? Why? He is being trained by Luke freaking Skywalker. Why, like, he's being trained as a Jedi. Why is he idolizing Vader?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm hoping is unveiled in episode 8, is like, why does, like, he would rather idolize his grandfather than,
His uncle.
yeah, and who is presumably his mentor.
I think, and I'm guessing, maybe Supreme Leader Snoke had something to do with it. Maybe Supreme Leader Snoke was using the Force to get into his head. Think about this. Kylo Ren somehow knows how to do this and gaze into somebody's head.
What, you mean the mind trick thing?
Yeah.
Or like the mental invasion thing?
Yes.
That is actually a common Sith technique, like a dark side technique that was actually, like the Inquisitors in Star Wars Rebels know how to do it.
Really?
Yeah. If you watch the Inquisitor interrogating Kanan, he is doing that same thing. Another Inquisitor tried to do that to Ezra Bridger.
Oh, the girl one?
Yeah. Firstly, it gets the person into their head. They're basically forcing their way into your head, and it also causes a lot of pain, which makes it such an effective torture and interrogation device because you can essentially, 1, read their mind, 2, cause them enough pain until they break.
It breaks them without having to exert physical force.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking that maybe Supreme Leader Snoke used that kind of technique to get into his head and start not like reading his mind, but more like implanting thoughts.
A more subtle application of the technique that doesn't really cause pain, but still is inside his head.
It's inside his head, but also not just reading his mind, not just like, okay, I'm just looking at this. No, it's like, here's something, just like putting information in.
Darth Vader, he was so freaking powerful, wasn't he?
He's kind of
like the devil.
pushing him.
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
So that's the way I'm thinking about it, and of course, because of if that was the case, then it would make sense that he'd be idolizing Vader and bring to his grandfather's freaking helmet that is melted into a piece of scrap metal.
Yeah, I think it's interesting though what he says though. Like he still feels the pull to the light, but he's determined to not let it seduce him.
The pull to the light, yeah.
Like it's sort of like he knows what he's doing is wrong. It's kind of like I kind of feel like he's sort of actually a lot like Anakin. There, it's like he knows to some extent what he's doing is wrong, but he feels like because he's already started, he really doesn't have much of a choice. And that was kind of Anakin, like right after Mace Windu's death. Like he's sort of like,
Did you have to bring up Mace Windu with me and Jeremy having purple lightsabers?
That was completely coincidental, but yeah.
Rest in peace, Samuel Jackson.
Yeah.
Samuel Jackson still does a mean Nick Fury.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of Anakin's thing that I kind of got was like, from him was like, he doesn't really want to do this, but he feels like he has no choice. He feels like he has to restore order, he has to save Padme, and he goes crazy. I feel like that's what Kylo Ren's doing. He's trying to do something.
That would make sense. Now that you mention it, that would make sense. It does seem to explain it.
And it feels like the dark side is the only way to accomplish this, but he still feels the pull to the light. He still knows that, yeah, this isn't really the best idea I've ever had in my life. This is gonna suck.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on with the film.
So
First Order.
It attacks the planet. They blow up the castle in this epic bombing run. We see Rey running off into the Force. Kylo Ren goes after her.
He knows because he can sense something about her, I guess.
Probably, yeah. Earlier, like, the First Order scouts had said something about, oh, well, there's a girl with the droid, or something like, a girl was helping the escaped stormtrooper, so he's specifically looking for the girl.
Yeah, and they're looking for stormtrooper. And then remember, and then going back to the battle at the castle thing,
oh yeah, that was actually really good.
Rey, Finn, who has no formal lightsaber training, actually uses a lightsaber and takes on a stormtrooper with a shock rod.
Yeah,
or whatever those things are called.
That fight sort of makes sense, because it's like, can you pick up a lightsaber and wield it? Yes, it takes a Force sensitive to fully master it, but the thing is, you can't just pick up a lightsaber and wield it against other non-Force sensitives with a weapon that can counter it.
Yeah,
you can't be a non-Force sensitive, pick up a stop-it lightsaber, and
pick up a stop-it lightsaber.
And yes, and instantly go toe-to-toe with someone who is a trained lightsaber duelist. You can't do that.
Who is also Force sensitive.
Yeah, but you can take on like a stormtrooper like that. The stormtrooper still kicks his butt anyway.
Man, but that weapon puzzled me. Like, wow, they finally have something that can match a lightsaber.
Well, they already did actually.
Yeah.
Mandalorian armor.
Oh yeah.
Mandalorian iron, or what is it called in the Mandalorian tongue?
Beskar steel.
Beskar steel is actually so dense. Yeah, the Mandalorians, it's actually dense enough that it can stop a lightsaber.
In certain areas, like there are weak points in the armor, but for the most part, yeah.
The plates.
Yeah.
Like the gaps between the plates can easily be pierced, but the plates themselves cannot be pierced by a lightsaber.
You mean the stormtrooper armor?
No, Mandalorians, like Jango and Boba Fett.
Oh.
So that armor is actually lightsaber resistant?
Oh, so yeah, and it explains the way they died. Of course, Boba Fett got eaten, but Jango Fett got his head cut off.
Yeah, and that gap there under the helmet, no armor. Okay, also, another thing about the battle I love is when Han Solo gets his hands on Chewbacca's bow thing, he's like, and he actually uses it.
Sends like 3 stormtroopers flying, and then a big explosion.
And then he was like, man, I want one of these now. and I understand now why Chewbacca always has that thing. It's not only his traditional weapon, it's just that fun to use.
Yeah. It kind of didn't really make oops. It didn't really make much sense to me because it's like, wait a minute, you've been partners for 50 years, you haven't seen this thing in action, but it was still funny.
I think that was just meant for comic relief right there.
It was.
Hey, Disney's actually pretty good at putting comic relief in all their films.
And it's very subtle in the way they do it, so you gotta give them credit on that note.
Yeah.
And they also know how to make people cry.
Yes.
Why did we jump to the destruction of the Hosnian system before we even got to the Resistance base? Think about it. They didn't know about the destruction of the hostage system until after they were already at the base.
No. They were literally standing, like, right outside the castle thing, watching the red beams streak across the sky and then kaboom. They weren't at the resistance base when they knew. Like, when they got to the resistance base, Rey had already been captured, and they were all like, trying to find a way to rescue her. There wasn't any, oh, they just blew up the Hosnian system. It's, they have Rey, how do we go get her? And before they killed the resistance base.
Yeah, because they were recharging the weapon off the what was left of the sun.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so fast forwarding, we go, Rey gets captured by Kylo Ren, interrogated. Okay, this is the one thing where her Force abilities made sense, because it's like, really, like, Kylo Ren gets into her head, and really all you need to be able to repel someone in that way is just strength of will. So Rey, being a barely trained Force user, if she has enough willpower, she can still kick Kylo Ren out of her head. She can still repel him. That was a contest, like, to me it was a contest of will, and Rey just had more raw potential plus the superior willpower to be able to repel Kylo.
Also, there's something interesting. She was able to manipulate minds.
Oh my gosh, that was stupid. That was when it went into what territory and never left. Because like the way she did the mind trick was really funny. How it didn't work and then it worked, and she's like, "And drop your weapon, and drop my weapon."
Again, subtle comedy with the mixing of her starting to understand her powers. Maybe like...
Okay, but see, the thing is though, that is a conscious use of the Force. You can't just have a conscious use of the Force in the span of an afternoon. Those kind of things take years of practice.
And training.
Oh,
that explains why
Ezra
couldn't
have a mentor, it's faster, but
They
the thing
just
is,
needed
she has
to
no
fit it
mentor.
all into the movie and not
Yeah.
be like, it takes so long.
Yeah, exactly. But the
They
thing
were
is,
speeding
it
it
does take. Exactly. They make her Force abilities ridiculous. Is the way she develops ridiculous because the plot demands it, and it's like, no, this is something that should take her years to get to the point where she is at.
I know there's gonna be
dude,
some
I'm not going to
people-
try to critique the first trilogy, but what I am saying is, Luke Skywalker was able to excel under training with Master Yoda in just a span of a few weeks, where it would have taken years for someone of lesser Force power,
But he's being trained. That's the point, though. He's being trained.
by Master Yoda.
Like, he has Obi-Wan in A New Hope to get him started on the trick, but over the next 3 years, he progresses barely at all.
And
He doesn't make much progress, and then trains with Yoda, that's the jump start, and now he's ridiculously trained and actually knows what he's doing. And then, he spends time on Tatooine researching old Obi-Wan's journals. Rey doesn't have any of that.
I'm thinking that maybe, just maybe, because you remember that Anakin, Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Qui-Gon all survived within the Force. Maybe one of them was actually able to give her advice in the split, because you have to figure it is different. I'm thinking that maybe, like, one of them, maybe Yoda, because after all he was a little bit maybe in the Force vision, maybe he actually gave her some advice and some basic ideas, and she just took it and ran with it.
Theoretically could work. What I'm thinking is, what I'm personally thinking happened is she's had like her mind wiped or something. Like Luke Skywalker or whoever it was that left her on Jakku, like she has training as a Jedi.
As a youngling.
Yeah, but like she was, or like even as a Padawan level, because Padawans can still do basic mind tricks, pull objects and whatnot, so.
Oh yeah, that's like what Ezra, that's what Ezra started doing.
I
That's what
actually
Ahsoka did
had
under
a
Anakin.
quick question.
Yeah.
I know, like, stretching out your hand and, like, pulling some with the Force is usually how they do it, but can you do it without, like, stretching out a limb?
Vader did it.
Can do it without stretching out the limb. If you're trying to pull something to you, stretching out the limb helps because you need something there to catch what you're pulling to you.
Well, I'm talking about you could pull it and then grab it.
Oh, well, yeah. You can.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, but or like if you're throwing something with the Force, Vader, when he's facing Luke in Cloud City in Episode 5, literally he's just like flicking his wrist, and the things go flying at Luke.
Okay, so anyway. So back on topic. So like what I'm thinking happened is she's at least a Jedi like Padawan level or something.
But
She
that
made
her
it to-
memory's been erased and she's starting to regain it.
Or not necessarily regain it. I was thinking more like muscle memory.
Oh.
Like it's something like what I'm thinking is like say you the first time you drive to your college campus, you don't really know where you're going.
No,
Not sure
I
where
had
you-
a general idea because I
Pretend you didn't.
Okay.
But okay, so you do that. You get there. Well, the second time you go, you've already been there. You already sort of know the way better, so it's easier.
It's a
And
neurological
that-
pathway.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking might be happening with Rey's force abilities. Is yes, her mind was right, but some part of her brain is unconsciously remembering it, and that's how she's able to go, ooh, mind trick.
So yeah,
You
that
will
may-
release these restraints and leave with the door unlocked.
So that
And
might
talking about
explain it.
And
But if
talking about-
Disney in the next movie ends up saying like, oh my gosh, she's so force powerful, she could just learn it in an afternoon.
Yeah, that. If they actually go that route, it doesn't make sense. If they do one of our ideas, that would actually explain how she's able to progress so quickly.
J.J.
But
Abrams,
even
take our
then-
ideas.
Abrams isn't directing episode
I
8,
know.
thank God.
Oh yes.
So let's hope Michael Bay
Yeah.
isn't.
Oh my gosh.
'Cause
If
it's not
Michael
right
Bay
now.
does it, everything is gonna be gone in that galaxy.
Focus.
Okay, back to the
Okay.
story. Back to the story.
So, we go through, or no, not Han. Han, Finn go to the Starkiller base after a brief conference about how to
Blow it up.
blow it up.
Like they did with the Death Star, because that was hilarious.
I
Now,
enjoyed
this
that.
was the Death Star. This is Starkiller Base.
This is the Death Star. This is Death Star 2. This is Starkiller base.
Oh crap. Okay,
Otherwise
so it's just
known
a
as
bit
Death
bigger.
Star.
Let's just go blow it up again.
Yeah. Okay, that's kind of one thing that annoys me. Is like, well, let's just go blow it up again.
But also,
You would think they would have learned their lesson. The first one doesn't blow up. Like, firstly, why do we need these super weapons to begin with? Secondly, the first one blew up. The second one blew up. Why, if we're going to make a super weapon, let's make something that's actually a different super weapon, like the Empire. After the Death Stars exploded, they still kept up their super weapons, but they were different super weapons.
Like what?
The Eclipse class Super Star Destroyer. What this is a giant Star Destroyer. It had a planet destroying super laser, but it was also had like 500 turbo lasers and 500 ion cannons. It was still something that could kick the New Republic fleet's butt effortlessly. And they built two of those. There was the Galaxy Gun, I don't know what that is, and there was the Sun Crusher. And what that was a small ship with torpedoes that were capable of blowing up a sun. Notice, different super weapons, all of them still failed. So eventually the Empire was just like, no more super weapons. But the thing is, they built different types of super weapons. What the First Order is doing is just, let's take what we've already got, make it bigger.
Well, think about it. If it's bigger, it's scarier. I think the whole point is it's meant to instill fear. Anyway, after they go to blow up Starkiller Base, and
we go through a whole Finding Rey sequence that was relatively funny.
and then remember the one Stormtrooper general in the silver armor?
Oh yeah.
You got a trash compactor chute? Yeah. It's going down the trash compactor chute.
That was the only callback to A New Hope I liked, because I was like,
only if we got to see what happened when she fell in.
I'm pretty sure
got
she.
crushed.
I'm pretty sure she didn't get crushed, but that she got blown up and the planet went.
She either, okay, maybe, yeah. I actually don't know what
Or
happened.
or there was another creature like.
And then once they get the shields down, the fleet of X-Wings arrives.
Well, technically you can call it that because it's more of like 2 squadrons, so it is somewhat of a small fleet, maybe of like 60 fighters or something.
Yeah, maybe.
That still is a lot of attack fleet.
It still needed a bunch of capital ships to be able to qualify as a fleet.
Fair
So
enough.
I'm sorry, you need Rebel blockade runners, you need Mon Calamari cruisers in there too.
Calamari!
Right now it's fleet.
Mon Calamari, planet in the outer rim, full of squid-like people.
So they start battling. They send TIE fighters out to greet them. You know, it's a warm welcome, right? Lots of fire.
Yes. Well, the planet is beginning to freeze because the sun's being drained.
There was
so we
something
got
I wanted to add.
that battle. Hold on, 1 second. So that battle, okay. Rip off of the Death Star. We even have the trench run. Oh my gosh, really, guys?
Well, they are getting their inspiration from a original source. At least they're not ripping off Star Trek.
Oh yeah.
Here's an interesting fact I would like to bring up.
Okay.
That this thing, unlike the Death Stars, was so massive it had to be charged by a sun, and every time it fired once, it would drain the entire sun. So it had to at least be somewhat mobile so it could go to another sun, or have a way to pull suns to it.